I'm going to send you the link now. The YouTube link. All right, we're live.
All right, very good. Darren Saavedra again, Bay Area News Group. We're getting ready for our live predictions show. I'm just going to tweet out this link real quick, and then we are going to be off and rolling with 15 predictions for week 3 of the high school football season. Can't believe it's already week 3, but we are here.
And already a certain rider is taking a commanding lead in the prediction standings.
Yeah.
Don't get too confident.
It's week 3. Yeah, we do have a rookie who has taken a 3-game lead. He has a bigger lead after 2 weeks here than either of the 2 contenders in the National League West have after 130 whatever games. So anyhow,
Lucky guesses, huh, Evan?
I'm feeling like De La Salle right now. I'm rolling on 106-6 streak right now.
106-3. No, 6. 103-6. 103-6 over 6 quarters. But so anyhow, we're getting ready for week 3. Again, we got Evan Webeck, who is the rookie here for us, and he is off to a nice start in this predictions competition. And we have the 2-time defending champion, Mike Lefkow, who knows a thing or 2 or 3 about high school football. Mike, I'll start with you. Anything you want to get off your chest before we get to the picks?
Well, just what I was talking about before we went on, taking a look at that De La Salle St. Francis game. It's been 30 years since a team in Northern California has beaten De La Salle. And when you think about it, it's mind-boggling. I mean, that's probably 330 games. Somebody who was born the year that De La Salle lost is now 30 years old. He's been out of high school for 12 years. And the thing I wonder is, why can't somebody just on one Friday beat De La Salle? I mean, why can no Northern California team beat them? I mean, Bellevue High School up in Washington State beat them. Bellevue High is the equivalent of an EBAL team. You know, well, it's where I grew up. My grandmother lived.
No diploma mills down here that we know of.
What's that?
There are no diploma mills down here that we know of.
They've had a couple of close calls, as we've noted, Lefty, including one 10 years ago last week, which we wrote about, Bellarmine's near miss, where they missed an extra point in double overtime, or in the first overtime that sent the game into the second overtime, and they ended up losing. So they're having a couple of close calls. We will get more details, or we will provide more details on the St. Francis De La Salle game as we move along here. But Evan, I'll go to you. Anything that stood out in week 2 and or anything you want to get off your chest going into our predictions?
Yeah, well, Lefty, I know you noted going into last week with St. Francis that it could get ugly against Oak Grove, and it certainly did. But there were a couple blowouts or wide scores that I was surprised to see, certainly, between San Ramon Valley and O'Dowd. What was that, 38-7?
Yeah, 34-7. And it was shut out by the San Ramon Valley defense. So O'Dowd scored on a pick 6.
Yeah, and the game that I was at between Los Gatos traveling all the way out to Brentwood to end up putting a fairly significant beating on Liberty, 38-17, but that took 31 unanswered points, and I don't think that final score indicates Liberty, the skill level over at Liberty. I think they've got big things coming this season too.
All right. Well,
how about that Aptos Campo game? If we want to talk about
that was what I was going to mention here real quickly before we get to the picks. I wrote about it in our Monday Morning Lights column that posted yesterday. Check it out at mercurynews.com or eastbaytimes.com, where Kevin Macy basically said we're not the same old Campo right now. We had a lot of inexperience, small numbers, and he just said it was a very bad matchup playing an Aptos team that runs that fly sweep, and they came out to Moraga. They were reeling a bit. It was kind of an emotional night for them, given what happened on their campus earlier in the week. They had a stabbing, and a student died on Tuesday, so it was a really rough week. Campo, to its credit, had a moment of silence before the game, And then Aptos, I guess, played with a lot of emotion, took advantage of 8 turnovers and won 49-0. So that was to me, that was the stunner of the weekend, and maybe even, well, definitely through the first 2 weeks. That was the most stunning result, 49-0 Aptos over Campo Lindo. But
Campo at Liberty this weekend in the Honor Bowl.
And as Kevin Macy pointed out, that game wasn't supposed to be.
Right.
A couple of teams pull out of the Honor Bowl, and so they had to shuffle the deck last weekend. And now Campo is playing against a Liberty team that obviously Liberty has a much larger enrollment than Campo Lindo, and that has always been an issue for Kevin Macy. He is a strong proponent of playing teams, of schools playing teams with similar enrollment numbers, and Campo and Liberty is two opposites in that category. So
Campo is about half of what Liberty is, size-wise.
1,300 students compared to 2,700 or something like that. But anyhow, let's get going. We're going to start off with San Ramon Valley. I think, Lefty, you're planning on going out there to Modesto on Thursday. This is a makeup game. Both teams had their games canceled the first weekend. San Ramon Valley was supposed to play Vintage, and you were going to cover the Central Catholic St. Francis game. Well, they've scheduled San Ramon Valley against Central Catholic on Thursday at 6 o'clock. Both teams were undefeated. San Ramon 1-0 and Central Catholic 2-0 with wins over Merced, and then last weekend over a St. Mary's Stockton team that was missing its quarterback, who had gotten knocked out the previous week against De La Salle. I will start with you, Lefty, since you're covering the game. Who are you taking?
I'm going to take SRV in a close one.
All right.
Yeah, I think this is going to be a great game too, but I'm taking SRV as well.
We're not going down that road again, are we, guys? Because as you can see here, I have circled in my notes SRV to win a very tight game against Central Catholic Modesto. So we're all taking SRV. This next game is really, really intriguing. Bellarmine, which had last weekend off, 1-0, going up to Burrell Field right off the 880 to play San Leandro, which is 2-0. San Leandro, as I was telling Mike earlier this morning, has played two different style of games. They grinded it out and beat Cardinal Newman 20-17, and then they won a shootout last weekend against Freedom, winning 55-44. Evan, what do you think about this game?
I really like the San Leandro team. I was high on them coming into the season, and they've only proved me right through these two games, and I got to go with them.
Mike?
I'm going to have to agree with Evan. I think the San Leandro team, I'm taking San Leandro more because I'm just not sure about Bellarmine at this point, and San Leandro is very well coached.
I am going to take Bellarmine. I think Bellarmine with an extra week to prepare. I think their defense is going to be better than it was against Menlo Atherton. And I kind of noted in our Monday morning quarterback column, peeking ahead, that first 1 to 50 wins. I'm not sure that's what it's going to take. I think this game might be in the 30s, which to me is a high scoring game. I don't think either is going to hit 50, but maybe I'll be wrong. But I'm taking Bellarmine to beat San Leandro to go to 2-0.
Probably worth noting that the San Leandro coach, Brad Bowers, went to Bellarmine.
That's true. He did. Game 3 on our list, Amador Valley at Dublin, Friday night. Both teams 2-0. Both teams have looked awfully impressive. I've circled Amador Valley to win this game. I'll let you take the floor next, Lefty. Who you got?
Yeah, I'm going to take Amador also in a very close game.
It's a sweep. Both these teams debuted in the top 25 this week. 23 and 22 should be a good showdown.
You're taking Amador?
Yep.
All right. Game 4 on the list, Bishop O'Dowd, which I saw on Friday night. Matt White was awfully impressive for O'Dowd in a losing effort. He carried, according to O'Dowd's statistics, he carried 17 times for 167 yards in that game. They will be at El Cerrito. And El Cerrito, I mean, you look at, they beat Vintage last week 26-6, and the previous week they lost to a very good Marin Catholic team 6-0. El Cerrito will be at home, but I'm taking Bishop O'Dowd. Lefty, who you got?
I'm going to go with the home team, El Cerrito. I think that defense is really good, really good.
That defense might be even more staunch than San Ramon Valley's, and even with Matt White's performance, they couldn't muster a touchdown on offense. So give me El Cerrito too.
Ooh, okay. Well, I'm either going to make up ground or I'm going to fall further into the hole. So, game 5, the Battle of Chargers. Leland 1-0 at Wilcox 0-2. I think all of us have picked Wilcox the first 2 weeks. We've all come up with losses. I'm going to go Wilcox again. I think they will beat Leland to win their first game of the season. Evan, what do you think?
Yeah, I'm sure Paul Rosa's squad is jonesing for his first win. They'll be back at home in front of the home crowd. That said, I really like Leland too. I had them ranked number 25. You saw them in the receiving votes category in our poll this week. That was me. And I think I'm going to take them on the road.
You're taking Leland.
Taking Leland.
Wow. Okay. Nice.
I've been burned too many times.
Lefty.
Oh, I'm going to take Wilcox in this game. I think they're going to come out mad and fired up, and they're going to get that first win.
All right. Game 6 on the list. I really like this matchup. California 2-0 at Freedom 1-1. As we noted, Freedom lost to San Leandro 55-44 last week, and they beat Hayward the previous week. California's looked awfully impressive through 2 games. I mean, you look at those scores: 49-7 over James Logan, and then 48-20 over Antioch. I've got California winning this game. Lefty?
I'll go with California as well. The San Leandro coach said that Freedom's got a terrific offensive scheme, but California's got a terrific offense.
Does first one to 50 get it done?
That might be a first one to 50 game.
I mean, first one to 60, but I'm taking Cal.
You're taking California too. All right. This is the game that Kevin Macy said that, Campo has no business plan, but he said things like that before, and Campo's come out and won games. So they're 1-1, going to Liberty, coming off that tough loss to Los Gatos. I think this game is going to be tighter than we might think. I still think Liberty's going to win, but I don't think it's going to be 49-0. Evan?
I think it's at least a 3 touchdown margin in favor of Liberty.
Lefty?
I think this game may be a little closer than people think, but Liberty has got too much talent.
All right. I've thrown this game on the list here. Cupertino 1-0 at Prospect 2-0. I went back and looked. Prospect has not lost a game since week 9 of the 2019 season. They've won 8 in a row. They're off to a 2-0 start. Cupertino under Chris Oswald, always a solid program, always a solid team. They play very hard. They're off to a 1-0 start. This should be an interesting matchup. I'm taking Prospect in this game. I'm all ears. Who you guys got?
I'll jump on the Prospect bandwagon.
Cupertino's got a really talented quarterback and Jay Paul, dual threat. But I don't think Prospect's losing.
Okay. Vanden at Foothill. Vanden 3-0. Foothill 2-0. Foothill has they just beat College Park. Lefty, what was that score?
43-25, we think.
We think.
I heard 3 different scores.
We have 3 different scores on Max Press, but we think we've got it. We think we did our due diligence. We did our investigative reporting, and I think we came out of it with Foothill winning 43-25, I think.
I finally just went with the coach's score.
Anyhow, but Vanden is 3-0, and I'm taking Vanden in this game. I think they're going to hand Foothill its first loss. Evan, you agree?
I don't know what to make of this Vanden team. It's 3-0, but I don't know. It's 2 blowout wins and one close win. I'm not sure. I do know Foothill's got a really talented quarterback too, Nick Walsh.
Yep, Nick Walsh.
9 touchdowns to 1 interception. I'm taking Foothill. It's goes 3-0.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm going to go with Foothill too. I think they're another team that just more familiar with Foothill. I think they're a good team. I think they're well coached, and I think they're going to win.
Very good. Well, Lefty, you told me last week you wanted tougher games to pick. I think this one's going to be a pretty tough one. Mount Eden at Tennyson. Tennyson coming off a win over James Logan. We're not sure what to make of James Logan right now after getting blown out against California in week 1. Mount Eden has wins over Irvington and Arroyo. I went and looked in the Max Preps era. Tennyson has an 8-7-1 record against Mount Eden. So these teams have been pretty even, although in their last meeting in 2019, Tennyson won 47-2. I'm taking Tennyson in this game, but it could go either way.
I'm going to take Mount Eden. I think that Paul Perrinon is an old pro. This is the kind of game that he'll figure out how to win.
I've got Mount Eden circled too, but Darren, you're trying to dissuade me, aren't you?
I did my homework.
I think Tennyson has more talent, but they're under a new coach and they're probably still rounding into forms as a team.
All right. We talked about a little bit about St. Mary's Stockton in our opening. They are 0-2, going to St. Ignatius 2-0 for a Saturday afternoon game. Saturday afternoon games at St. Ignatius are very tough on opponents. Sacred Heart Prep was the last one to witness that, losing on Saturday 13-7. St. Mary's of Stockton has Jaden Marshall. We don't know if they're going to have their quarterback Cruz Herrera, who was injured in the De La Salle game 2 weeks ago on a nasty hit by Zeke Berry. If Cruz Herrera plays, and I liked what I saw from him in the first half against De La Salle, I think they might have too much offense to lose at St. Ignatius. I'm taking St. Mary's of Stockton to win this game, but this was a tough one to pick. Lefty, who you got?
Well, I'm going to go with SI. I really like SI's quarterback, Aiden Smith. I mean, I know Cruz Herrera is very good. St. Mary's probably has a little bit more overall talent, but when I've seen Aiden Smith play, he's pulled out some tough games.
Evan?
Yeah, whether Herrera plays is probably the deciding factor in this game, but I think that says a lot about St. Ignatius, seeing as with how much talent St. Mary's of Stockton has. That said, I'll take St. Mary's of Stockton betting on their quarterback coming back.
All right. Another game at the Honor Bowl. This one's on Saturday night. Clayton Valley Charter coming off a 26-20 loss at Del Oro Loomis, which I'm sure was a terrific game. Coach Murph did text me today. I tried to reach out to him on Saturday to get some details on this one. Didn't hear back from him, which was unusual. And he sent me back a text this morning and said that it was his anniversary this weekend. He was already in the doghouse for having to coach a football game on his anniversary weekend. So I'm sure the high school community is looking at that going, sorry, Coach Murph. Next year, you'll have plenty of time for your anniversary. So, but they've got a really, really tough challenge on Saturday night, playing Liberty of Bakersfield, a powerhouse from my hometown. School didn't exist when I was down there. Murph was telling me a story this morning that when he was the coach at Clovis East, they played Liberty of Bakersfield in a section championship game down there, which they were the newest schools ever to meet in a section championship. And Liberty of Bakersfield won that one. As much as I like Clayton Valley, the way they play, I don't think they're going to have enough to beat Liberty at Bakersfield. I'm taking Liberty to win the final game of, I think, a 4-game card at the Honor Bowl now that the two teams dropped out. I think there's 2 on Friday and 2 on Saturday. Evan, do you agree, or are you taking Clayton?
I think I agree. It's just been a tough non-conference slate for Clayton. This is the closest game to home that they have, only because it's on a neutral site. They're traveling over 500 miles just through their non-conference games. And as we saw in Loomis, I think 26-20. Yeah, I'm thinking Liberty.
Lefty?
I'm going to go with the Uglies. I looked at Liberty's schedule, and I mean, I'm sure Liberty is a terrific team, but if you've seen their schedule so far, it's not exactly been the same type of schedule that Clayton Valley Charter has played. And I think the Uglies have been toughened up by playing that schedule.
It should be a terrific game. It should be. I mean, we know how hard Clayton plays. It doesn't matter if they're playing De La Salle or if they're playing, anybody. They play really hard and they're well coached. So we will definitely be looking for the result of that matchup. This next one, the big question going into the season, Evan, was Milpitas. Were they going to return to form, or is going to be more of the same? I know they said that they played a lot of young kids in the spring, but to me, it's been more of the same so far. I know they played some quality opponents in Amador Valley and Las Lomas, but they lost by 30 to Amador Valley and by 29 to Las Lomas to go to 0-2. They're playing against the Silver Creek team that's 2-0 with wins over Woodside and Evergreen Valley. I'll let you guys pick first. Who you picking, Evan?
It does seem like we've gotten our answer through 2 weeks on Milpitas, and I think it'll be a tough test for Silver Creek, but I'm picking Silver Creek.
Lefty?
Yeah, I like Silver Creek. I think they're going to go to 3-0 with this game.
All right, and I have Silver Creek too. I think they will win on their home field against Milpitas, which will be 0-3. Which at some point you got to think that they'll turn it around, but we'll see. We'll be watching. 2 more games on our list. They're probably the 2 biggest games of the weekend. De La Salle 2-0. I think that streak, you said 330. I think it's now officially 318 game unbeaten streak. There were 2 ties in there. So I think it's now at 318, Lefty. They will be on the road to play St. Francis, a team they've played, I think, the last 3 or 4 years. They haven't lost any of them, although the game at St. Francis in 2018, I think, was the one that was competitive and tight. St. Francis 1-0. You saw St. Francis. You didn't see him play, but you actually saw the team. And what was your impression?
Well, like I say, I mean, they're a great looking team they pass the eye test, or as coaches like to say, they look great on the hoof. But the thing is that you're right. Other than the game against Oak Grove, we haven't really seen them play, and we're going to get a lot of questions answered when they play De La Salle.
Evan, any thoughts on this one?
I think this is a game, if enough things go right for St. Francis and enough things go wrong for De La Salle, it could be a good game. But I mean, you can't bet against the Spartans right now.
No, that 103-6 over the past 6 quarters. Since they got tongue lashing at halftime against St. Mary's of Stockton when it was 17-16 De La Salle. That's when they just took off, playing just extremely physical. I imagine I wasn't at the Monterey Trail game, but given the score was 68-6, I got to think that they continued what they were doing in the second half against St. Mary's. I'm taking De La Salle in this game. So it's a clean sweep for all 3 of us. De La Salle to stretch that.
I'm going with De La Salle.
Okay. The last one on the list, and this is one you're going to be at, Evan, assuming there's no smoke or what date change, or you got to keep like both fingers crossed, because you've been down to cover Pittsburgh twice, and this will be the first time you've seen.
Bad luck 2 weeks in a row. Looking forward to seeing him this week. Let's hope so.
If Big Galley is listening, he's probably like, why is he covering our game?
Yeah, sorry, Vic. I'm gonna hope your game doesn't get pushed back again. Anyway, I'm really looking forward to seeing this receiving matchup between the whole core at Pittsburgh, and especially Dickey at Juria Dickey at Valley Christian, who's off to, as we expected, an incredible start to the season, over 200 receiving yards through the first 2 games. And Pittsburgh, I mean, it doesn't get much tougher test than Folsom to open your season against, especially when they've got 3 games under their belts. And Pittsburgh held their own admirably, I think, through the first half. And you saw Jaden Rashada. He only a 35% completion percentage, but he didn't turn the ball over, which was an issue when he got snaps last season. And he really, really spread the ball around to that receiving core. 7 different receivers got passes. But it was Charles Brown, the running back, who scored both those touchdowns. So it'll be interesting to see. It'll be a really tough test against Valley Christian, but not on Folsom's level, I don't think. So I'm taking Pittsburgh.
Taking Pittsburgh. Okay. Mike, who you got?
Well, I'm going to go with Pittsburgh also. I think it's going to be a tough game. I think it's going to be close. One thing, Pittsburgh, I know they have a little bit of an inexperienced secondary, and that'll be a problem with Jurion Dickey out there. But Pittsburgh has got a lot of talent, and they're going to be at home. And I think the home field advantage will prove to be the difference.
Limited spectators, as Victor
So-
Galley pointed out to me on Saturday night. Still limited spectators, 2 to 3, maybe 4 passes per player.
And band members, cheerleaders too.
Yeah, and cheerleaders, and maybe band members too, if the band's there. But Coach Galley made it clear that please do not ask him for tickets. He's got a football team to prepare. I like Pittsburgh, but I went against Valley Christian in the Wilcox game and got burned. I'm going to take Valley to pull off the upset, if you want to even call it that. I think these teams are pretty tight. And the one guy we haven't mentioned is the quarterback of Valley Christian, Jackson Berman, who's the 100-meter champion in the WCAL. That guy is fast. I think it's going to be a terrific game. Evan, I can't wait to read your report. Hopefully there is a report, because I don't want to have Friday afternoon come and we find out that the game is, in November.
Can't go in the stands. You got to read it on mercurynews.com.
Or eastbaytimes.com. We're going to wrap that up. That was game 15. We picked all of our games. Check out our coverage, mercurynews.com, eastbaytimes.com. Be sure to get a digital subscription. It only helps us out here to keep providing as much content as possible. Mike, you got a closing thought?
Well, the games this week were a little tougher to pick than last week. We had games that are going to be a little bit closer, I think. So we'll see how those standings are. That Cupertino prospect game, boy, I had to look at both teams and kind of evaluate who they had played. And that was a little bit of a curve.
That was a tough one, even though we all picked Prospect. I think Cupertino could win that game, but I think Prospect's going to continue on with his winning streak. For those of you who want to know our standings through week 2, Evan, you've got a 16-8 record, followed by a tie between Mike and myself at 13-11. Evan, you went 12-3 in week 2. Lefty, you went 10-5, and I brought up the rear at 9-6. So anyhow, that is it until next week.